all other men around his hideous will appeared as Kiko.
Natsuki. Oh, Susara! Great morning!
Hello, welcome back to Iwaihime. Let us continue with Kiko story and see what bullshit's gonna happen. It left off on bullshit, didn't it? Oh, right. I was okay. Ordinary people would doubt their sanity at this point, but I was used to this. I was more prone to daydreams than the average person, so this was fairly common for me. I could forget them any time by wearing heavy metal from my headphones and immersing myself in the music. Seriously, what was I so scared of? Was I really freaking out over a daydream of blobs popping up? How ridiculous. Was Kiko Harumiya a coward? What about that display from the former leader of the Bloodstained Angels attack squad? I wasn't scared of that blob or that Fetzo, that man, no way in hell. I howled the aggressive lyrics to spur myself. Oh, those are lyrics. I'd smashed my sweet innocent self to pieces. I wasn't brought into this world to be cuddled like a stuffed animal. I quit hiding behind yesterdays. Don't fuck with me. Don't you dare fuck with me. Don't even look at me, you filthy man. I was getting fired up. Rage was searching for me. Where were my trusty partners, my bats? I'd waste any dumb bastard who'd mess with me. Why weren't they in their usual spots? What the hell? They were gone, but I haven't even touched them. Alright, didn't Suzumu move them? I looked around frantically. I accidentally yanked the headphone cord partway into the jack. The music switched from the headphones to the speakers, and the blinding passion burning within me was left to cinders in the blink of an eye. What was this? How did this happen? I always left my partners on display, so why were they gone? Upon closer inspection, I realized my other trusty partners had also vanished from their places. When did it happen? How long has it been? They were there this morning, weren't they? Yeah, they should have been, right? They should have been there yesterday. Why were they gone? All of a sudden, I feel like I could smell sweat. It wasn't mine. It wasn't the sweat you got from running around. It was a foul, rotten stench. I felt like I'd smelled this particular week before, but how long ago was it again? It was pretty far back when I was a little girl. Right, it must have been 9 years ago. A wordless scream burst out of me as I sunk to the floor, unable to get air. He had gone into my room while I was out, and then he scrounged through it. No, I'm not gonna scream. I'm not gonna scream. Kiko had suddenly gone home by herself at the arcade yesterday. Forcing her to come along when she wasn't up to it must have rubbed her the wrong way. She didn't come down for dinner, and she didn't respond to my texts either. Apparently, she told her mother that she wasn't hungry because she wasn't feeling well. Miss Harumiya was optimistic, figuring she'd caught a cold or something. If only it were that simple. Maybe it was because I'd seen her get assaulted by a haunting in the person the other day. I was racked with worry over Kiko. I figured perhaps it would be best to consult Miss Inagata.
僕だけど、キコちゃん、起きてる?
I pressed the doorbell to Kiko's apartment and quickly heard someone shuffle over to the entrance and the door opened. Kiko was already changed into her school uniform. Her face was haggard. Come to think of it, she mentioned the day before that she hadn't gotten much sleep. Did she not get any sleep at all last night? Aww.
横にはなってたんだよ。だから大丈夫。
無理しないで休んだ方が。
いいの。家より学校の方が安全だと思うから。
え？
学校ってほら大勢いるじゃない。大勢いれば変な人も手出ししにくいだろうし。
What was Kiko talking about? Though her features were shaped by exhaustion, her eyes had an odd glint to them. I'd never seen a look like that from her before. For a moment, I considered forcing her to rest if I had to, but Kiko probably wouldn't have listened. However, that was so convenient for both of us. I could bring her to the infirmary to see Miss Hinagata right away. If it was just a cold, she'd just have to rest and I'd have peace of mind. If it wasn't, then Miss Hinagata would be the one I could turn to anyway.
キコちゃん、皆勤賞を狙ってるんだったっけね。
うん、だから休めないの。
でも、念のため、保健室で雛形先生に見てもらおう。
本当にただの寝不足だってば。大丈夫だよ。
You don't sound fine. I didn't believe her. Normally, she'd look me right in the eye, yet she'd avoid glancing at me this whole time. But I knew worrying about it wasn't going to solve anything. I just had to get her to the school infirmary and leave the rest to Miss Hinagata. They just ended the set while straddled their bikes. This was Suzumu. I could tell. So long as I kept the front grip in my mind, I could actually recognize him as Suzumu. But this whole time I'd seen him as a blob. That couldn't be. My eyes had been playing tricks on me, that or I was back in that same horrible daydream. If I focused hard, Suzumu appeared the same as always. However, if I took my eyes off him for even a second, he turned into a blob again.
僕の顔、何かある？目やにでもついてるかな？
Poor Suzumu.
そんなこと全然ないよ。じろじろ見ちゃって。ごめんね。
If I let my guard down, not only did I see blobs, but I could also smell sour sweat. But at least Suzumu was fine. I could perceive him as his usual self so long as I honed my senses. The world was filled with those blobs, juices, and the rank stench of sweat. I knew the truth. There was no way there were blobs. All of them were ordinary people. They had to be. But since this morning, nearly everyone looked like those hideous flesh beasts. And I was probably the only one who saw them like that. Because no one else was panicking, no one else found anything strange. I was the only one who could see this messed up world of meat. The Iwaihime shopping district was full of bikes racing to school or the train station. And nearly all of them appeared as blobs to me and me alone. The foul odors they spewed were like open garbage cans on a hot summer day. I almost threw up several times, but it wasn't like I saw every single person as blobs. It seemed to only apply to men. Oh. Girls and young boys looked normal to me, but all other men around as hideous appeared as hideous blobs.
夏くん。
おう、スサラ。グレートモーニング。
Suzumu really was the only exception to that. The hideous blob he'd called Natsu was apparently Atsuda. Unlike Suzumu, he only appeared as a blob no matter how hard I steeled my mind. Suzumu, me, and that disgusting black and me riding a bike headed for school like every other day. The thing would talk to me from time to time, but I couldn't bring myself to look at it. Though I knew it had to be Atsuda, I couldn't bear it. That was just because my eyes, brain, or heart had gone mad. So I resisted the urge to break out into a cold sweat and felt my hardest to endure this horrific daily life. Even amidst all this, it was still safer at school. He couldn't lay a hand on me while I was there. But what was I going to do after? I couldn't barely stand the foul stench of the blobs as it was. Girls and blobs rode their bikes through the school gates one after the next. I thought I was going to lose my mind. This was the first time I had a daydream this awful. I needed to wake up or I'd go insane. By the time I parked my bike, my mind had been scrambled by the madness and the foul stench. If someone told me this was hell, I'd believe it. Still, this is better. They were just blobs. They had no intention of... No intention of harming me. That's what I figured it said. So I had to endure. But I was reaching my limit. I'd managed to hold it back so far, but the bike lot was poorly ventilated and filled with the acrid reek of the blobs. I gripped my stomach as it churned, but it didn't help consent any longer. A moment later, everything I'd been holding back up to this point finally broke loose. At first, I had no idea what had just happened. Kiko must have thrown up or something, and she had the most unfortunate luck of getting vomit on delinquent's clothes. No. Naturally, he was furious and grabbed Kiko. Naturally, he was furious and grabbed Kiko by the collar. That act had likely invoked her wrath. Kiko headbutted him right in the face, sending blood gushing from his nose to his chin. Enraged, delinquent lunged for Kiko, but she headbutted him again. His blood splattered onto Kiko's face, leaving blotches behind. The nearby girl screamed when they finally noticed the brutal fight. Of course, our show. That wasn't a scream, it was a war cry. Kiko's face was a terrifying visage of indignation and repugnance. I wanted to stop the fight right away, but I couldn't get through the ring of confused students surrounding them with their bikes. The chaos spread and intensified in that time. At first, the delinquents were reluctant to get in a serious fight with the girl, but all such reservations faded once they saw the merciless depths of Kiko's berserker state. I knew Kiko had experienced fighting, but this was more like the rampage of a rampant animal. There was no human dignity to be found in any of this violence. She attacked like a panicked beast who'd been pushed against the wall by hunters. Like a concerned rat fighting back.
やべえよこいつ頭いってるぜいってえよ早く先生呼んでく
れよThis was no fight. She struck, clawed, and relentlessly bit the delinquents. She was probably trying to bite their ears off. It was like she was fighting for her life. Kiko was a frenzied animal driven by fright. That was right. This wasn't rage. It was terror that spurred her. Kiko didn't do this because she wanted to. She lost herself in some kind of fear. I finally made my way through the ring of bicycles.
Kiko-chan, やめるんだ.
Kiko howled to the top of her lungs. She completely lost sight of herself. She trampled over her bicycle as she charged at me. Ooh. I suddenly asked for her forgiveness, and then... Though my fist was not for fighting, I buried it deep into Kiko's soft abdomen. I winced. It must have hurt a lot. Kiko gripped her stomach as she fell over the ground, moaning with pain.
ごめんね、Kiko-chan. 仕方なかった.
Oh.
9年
Huh? Oh, wait, yeah, 9 years. The whole 9 years. A group of muscular teachers finally showed up. To them, it must have looked like though, as though the delinquents had gotten into a personal quarrel that Kiko had caught up in.
俺たち何もしてねえよ。ハルミヤが急に噛みついてきたんすよ。嘘じゃねえっす。いいからこっち来い。ハルミヤ、大丈夫か。
For once, the delinquents were technically right.
待って先生。
ああ、雛形先生。
Miss Hinagata's intuition was right. She thought the same as me. At this moment, Kiko was the feral beast who would attack anyone who carelessly approached her, even a teacher.
ハルミヤさん、私がわかる？ 怖がらないで。落ち着いて。落ち着いて。
雛形先生、よかった。
ごめん、鈴原くんも来ないで。
はい。
As sad as it was, Kiko would attack me too if I got close. However, at least it seems she bore no hostility toward Miss Yangana because she just doesn't see females as the blobs. The two of them said a few words to each other. Before long, Miss Yangana helped Kiko to her feet and headed to the infirmary. The delinquents were taken away by the stern-faced teachers, asserting they were victims all the way. All that remained were fallen bikes and the concrete floor splattered with blood. The students were dazed at first, but eventually all burst into conversation. The teachers shouted at them to hurry to their classes.
さすが特攻隊長。グレートだね。
Despite his rousing words, Natsu had grown pale as well. Well, that ends this episode of Iwaihime. Oh, that was a lot to happen in that short amount of time. Like, god damn. Okay. For once, the delinquents weren't, at fault for once. I wasn't expecting that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. If you did, subscribe if you're new. Check out other stuff I've done. And see you next time. Bye-bye.